Minasan okaeri nasai! Hey everyone, welcome back to another weekly episode of Game News and Chill. I'm of course your host, Jake Protagonist. It's time for some gay man news, exactly. This week we'll primarily focus on rounding up E3 news, if only like a couple of snippets that happened either before or slightly after E3, but it's primarily going to be E3 news. Despite how quiet this year's E3 was, there was still a lot of things to unpack or things to look at, so I had to be, again, pretty selective about things I'm personally interested in. So if there's something missing that you're kind of interested in, let me know and I'll see if I'll like bring it up real quick or something like that. But there was a lot, and we went through all the different conferences, starting of course with Ubisoft, so let's just get right into it. So again, Ubisoft was up first this E3, and the first thing of interest to me that they announced was Riders Republic. Overall, it was a pretty bland show for the presentation itself, but there were at least like 2, maybe 3 things that they showed that were kind of interesting, and this was definitely one of them. I forget who this is made by, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's being made by the same people who made Steep, or what's that game called? The snowboarding game? I think it's called Steep, or Sleep, or something like that. I don't know. Probably shouldn't go for 1440p footage while I'm streaming. Yeah, it looks pretty neat. It's basically an extreme sports multiplayer game, which what surprised me most about it is how arcadey it looked. Like, it seemed to be primarily focused on just providing a fun, like, score-based multiplayer experience rather than anything too simulation-esque, I guess, for lack of a better term, right? And that was really appealing to me, actually. There's this one shot in this trailer in particular where he's like riding down. Actually, I guess we'll go in order here first. First, they show like some teams, and then they do like this snowboarding sequence, and like you see how like there's this trail, and you're capturing the different rails and turning them into your team's color, and you get points based off like the skills that you're doing off of these rails, and that kind of stuff. You know, it's Tony Hawk-esque, right? And it looks genuinely fun, you know, which is surprising to me because I didn't think Ubisoft could still make things that looked interesting to me, right? I mean, I guess there was like that one pirate game they announced forever ago, which was once again absent at this E3. This is the thing that really sold me, though. Look at this shot. When you're like riding down this mountain in this bike, and the sense of momentum and like recklessness of it, it looks genuinely really fun. It looks like it'd be a pain to control, but that's kind of what would make it fun. Like, look at this, like, I don't know, something about this just is really appealing to me. There's probably other games where you can do stuff like this, but this is the first I'm personally seeing that's like this, so it looks genuinely like a pretty fun time. I feel like the biggest disappointing factor for me when it comes to this would be like if the price is right for it, you know, or not just because I'm not willing to pay like $60 for it, because I probably might be, it's just that my friends probably wouldn't be, so getting my friends to try this out with me would probably be big pain in my ass. So hell yeah, they do like this stuff too, skydiving. Like, it's crazy, right? The wing gliding stuff, it looks genuinely kind of fun. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I guess you're like trying not to lose balance or something with all this crap on your back. Either way, like, it looks goofy and kind of fun as far as like racing is concerned, and the sense of momentum that you have with everything looks genuinely pretty cool. So yeah, Riders Republic, actually probably the best thing that was shown at Ubisoft's conference, in my opinion. But there was another one that was kind of interesting to people. Rainbow Six Extraction. So both of these projects are launching in September. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm not a big Rainbow Six guy myself, but this looked interesting, to say the least, right? This was a co-op. What the hell? 10 minutes, 30 minutes ago. This is a co-op Rainbow Six Siege, well, it's not Rainbow Six Siege. It's supposed to be its own Rainbow Six game, but it's a very sci-fi Rainbow Six game, which they normally don't do. And it's a co-op survival game, kind of Left 4 Dead-esque. And it looks interesting. Like it has like all the same physics that Rainbow Six Siege does, and a lot of the animations are like stripped straight from Rainbow Six Siege. Again, I'm not the biggest Rainbow Six guy, but all my friends are, so this was like interesting to them, and it's kind of interesting to me because I have played Rainbow Six Siege only like a couple times. When I did, I was always impressed with the physics of it and like the responsiveness of the shoot bangs, right? Oh yeah, look at that. He breaks out like the Rainbow Six Siege class and demolitions up and then kills this weird zombie thing. It's really weird in terms of premise. I don't think there's really been a Rainbow Six game like this before, right? Maybe you guys would know better than me when it comes to this. Any positive reactions from Rainbow Six fans or shooter fans from other series? Naruhodo ne. So yeah, like I'd have to rely on you guys to see if this looks interesting. I'm still looking for like a new but slightly different replacement for Left 4 Dead in my heart, and Back 4 Blood does not look like it's gonna be it, and that's made by the Left 4 Dead people. So I'm still kind of like, my one friend was interested in this when they showed it because I think she feels the same exact way that I do when it comes to like this. There's still like this lingering. Like obviously you can just go back and play Left 4 Dead 2 and that game's still great and there's tons of mods for it, but there's always this like but like a fresh Left 4 Dead experience, you know? And this doesn't really look like it's going to be that because I believe it has like roguelike elements to it, right? But yeah, if you're saying that the reception wasn't really hot from either fan base, then that wouldn't be too surprising. I imagine most hardcore Rainbow Six fans would really want the more realistic stuff, right? And this clearly isn't that, but and for non-Rainbow Six fans, they probably already don't like the way Rainbow Six controls or plays or has its physics, right? So this may just like not really hit any bells for them. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective to bring up. I didn't think of it like that. I don't think I'm probably going to play this unless my friends are like, it's really good, it's really fun, right? So it's gonna have to sell them before it sells me. But I mean, I'm always into more interesting concepts like this and just traditional stuff. So this was worth pointing out, I guess, right? You know, if you might be interested in this, I'm probably not, but you know, interesting decision for them to make, definitely. The next thing that they announced was this, a sequel to the Mario plus Rabbids games. Mario is dual wielding. I already jumped the shark. That's true, actually, yeah. I think I remember reading an interview from them once saying that they specifically would not put any attachments to the guns that would be too, like, ridiculous. And they made a specific example of, like, a unicorn or something like that. And then I think there is a unicorn attachment in the game now. There's, like, a hilarious, like, contrasting interview for the game like that one of my friends pointed out to me, and I always thought that was really funny. But speaking of funny, Rabbids aren't funny, but this game looks kind of fun, you know? I guess. I mean, I imagine it'll be as fun as the previous one. I never played the previous one, but it always looked like a much more fair version, I guess, of the XCOM games, right? It's clearly heavily inspired by the XCOM games, but it has like that Nintendo polish to it, let's say, right? And I forget, I think Matthew Matosis said the same thing back when the original, what was it? The original Mario Rabbids was announced, where Nintendo has like this, I'm going to pause before I have to look at this, because I have something important to say about this thing that's about to show up. They have like this talent for cutting the fat, so to speak, right? Where I feel like Mario's RPG series, typically, they'll always have like the numbers be really straightforward and simple for when it comes to like number calculation. Like instead of like 100s or 10s, they'll be like, hey, this does 2 damage. And this is good. This is good against like a 2 damage offense, something like that, right? Like they just take away the extra zeros when they don't need them, is what I'm trying to say. And I think this is kind of the equivalent when it comes to XCOM-like games. That being said, this Luma Rabbid is something I never wanted to see before in my entire life. It's cursed. It's cringe. I have nothing but contempt for it whenever I look at it. I thought Rosalina Rabid was already enough, but Luma Rabid, just... You have somehow managed to take away the appeal of both things by combining them, and it just fills me with nothing but distaste. I hate looking at the Luma Rabid so much. Look at that. Just look at it. It's disgusting. It's foul. It's a horrid creature that is begging for apocalypse. I hate this. Anyway, it's just more Mario and Rabbids. I don't really have much else to say beyond this abomination's appearance. It's just more Mario and Rabbids. I'm sure it'll be fine and fun if you liked the previous Mario & Rabbids. I did always want to give the first one a try, so maybe I'll try to give it a try before this one comes out, but I'm not too interested in those types of games, so I probably won't. I don't know. There's only so much time in this world, man, you know? Speaking of only so much time in this world, the last thing Ubisoft ended with was Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, announced for PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and of course, the everlasting Stadia platform. Why? Is this not, like, several years too late? Am I crazy? I'm not crazy, right? This is several years too late. Who cares? Is the second movie coming out? Isn't the second movie been like in limbo? Didn't they already plan like 10 of them or something? I don't even want to get into that, honestly. I'm just more confused as to why. If you're going to make an Avatar game, you somehow picked the most least relevant one. The least relevant of the avatars. I mean, it's being made by the people who made The Division, I think. So I already sleep. But I don't really get why now. You know, maybe it's just something that they were making for a while, you know, and they always had in the back burner, but they didn't show any game, right? They showed a CGI trailer, which I should have put like a CGI trailer counter somewhere on the screen, because CGI trailers, as I've said before, just like logo reveal trailers, are completely worthless. They don't tell me anything. This tells me nothing. It's a cinematic CGI trailer showing that, hey, we're making an Avatar game. It doesn't represent any gameplay mechanic or gameplay scenario. It doesn't represent how the game's even going to actually look like. It's just saying, hey, we're making an Avatar game. Why did you waste so much money on making this trailer just to say that we're making an Avatar game and not show anything from the actual game? It genuinely baffles my mind how companies still do this. Because I guess they think it will sell well or something like that. But no one's in the current year is going to look at this trailer and go, oh, and not go, excuse me, oh yeah, that Avatar movie that came out forever ago and made a lot of money. No one can remember anything about it because it was boring. But hey, look, it was made a lot of money. Everyone went and saw it because it was made by the guy who made the Titanic. It's made a lot of money. Like I don't understand. This is like striking while the iron is not only, it's in like the Antarctic. It's a fossil cube frozen under the ocean. I don't understand why now. And if you're going to do it now, why not have anything to show for it? Doesn't make any damn sense to me. All I have to say about Ubisoft's conference at the end of the day was... Why? Also, where is the pirate game and where is Beyond Good and Evil 2? Both of those games, I'm convinced, no longer exist. That's basically all I have to say about that. Moving on. Next thing that happened. So this wasn't announced in any one conference, but it's something I wanted to talk about. They announced a PS4 version of Godfall. Now, you may be wondering, Jake, why are you talking about Godfall? You don't care about Godfall. You're right. I don't. The game looked bad, so I never played it. I'm assuming this was announced at the Gearbox conference thing. That the conference, I say that with the biggest air quotes you could ever summon in this world. But it was a conference Gearbox had, and during it, they announced that Godfall was coming to PS4. Now, the reason I bring this up is very simple. There was a quote from, I think, whoever's in charge of Gearbox again, that scam artist, I forget his name. That said, I'm looking it up right now because I forgot to look it up. Godfall can't run on PS4. There is a quote from Randy Pitchford. That's his name. Randy Pitchford. There's that scumbag. Randy Pitchford claimed that the PS4 cannot handle Godfall back when this game was first announced. Right? And despite that, suddenly there's a PS4 version coming for Godfall. Now, again, the only reason I bring this up is because I find it interesting, right? I find it very, very interesting. And the reason I find it interesting is very simple. This has been happening a lot. Basically, people who are making these initially PS5 exclusive titles, months down the line, are making PS4 versions. In fact, Sony themselves have been doing it recently. Bathroom. I don't want to pull up that pic because it's disgusting and it makes me nervous. I never want to know the context. Apparently the context of him for that picture is like, oh yeah, dude, it was my wife wanted me to do it, haha. Like, but no, I refuse to believe that because why would she want you to do this? I think if you type in Randy Pitchford, it's like one of the first things that pops up. Oh, it's not. There's a picture of him with Boogie though. Here, Randy Pitchford kneeling. Here it is. All right. So, all right, I'm taking that away now. Point being, this has been happening a lot lately, right? This isn't the first instance of this. And I think, and to my knowledge, the main reason why this is happening is because there was a report recently that approximately, according to some math done by calculating trophy numbers, 25% of PS5s have not even been turned on, I believe was the headline. Let me pull it up right now. Have not been turned on. Have not been used. Maybe is the correct phrasing of it. Yeah, here it is. Approximately 25% of all PS5 consoles in circulation have never been used. There we go. So that was my transition into this. So I think the reason why suddenly a game that supposedly could not work on PS4 or is now coming to PS4, and why PlayStation is making all of their exclusives also have PS4 versions, and you're seeing a bunch of last-gen versions of games still, is quite simple. The scalping situation with the PS5 especially is so bad that the software numbers for PS5 exclusive titles is abysmal. And we've seen evidence of this over the course of its 6 months lifespan, where any exclusive game for the platform, specifically the PS5 version, will not chart as well, right? Sometimes not even cracking top 10 in countries where the PS5 is really popular. So that's something that's worth mentioning. Yeah, I think that's the reason, really. I think that's the reason why you're seeing PS4 versions of... There's no surprise, there's no games for it. See, like, it clearly is selling well, right? I think it's sold like almost 8 million units, the PS5, but 25% of them being put into the hands of what are effectively scalpers, it must be. They must be just sitting in scalper inventory. 25% of 8 million is like almost 2 million, right? That's a lot of PS5s just going unused, and it's no wonder that the software market is so abysmal right now for it, right? So I think that's the main reason why you're seeing this happen, you know? It's just that, and you're going to probably keep seeing it happening, it's just that the PS5 software versions don't actually sell all that well. It's because people still have trouble getting their hands on one, you know? And sometimes the PS5 exclusive software is also more expensive. Like, what was it? Demon Souls was $70, right? For a PS3 remake, that's kind of a disgusting price. And the only reason it's $70 is because they want to set a precedent. Same with Returnal. Returnal is $70, and even the developers, I think, at one point said that they didn't want it they didn't know it was going to cost that much, and it probably shouldn't have costed that much. But the only reason they're making it cost that much is because they want to set a precedent so that people get used to paying $70 for their products, which I guess is a fair business tactic, all things considered. But I think it's quite clear that the market's rejecting it, which is why it hasn't seen universal adoption, because other big studios are seeing that the market is rejecting that concept. So maybe there'd be more room to reject it or accept it if people could actually get their hands on these things. So all of that is worth considering. Otherwise, I don't care about Godfall. Godfall is cringe and bad, but I thought this was something interesting that happened outside of E3 that was worth pointing out. Next up was the Microsoft conference. First thing that showed up was Starfield. It was a CGI trailer. I don't care. We got a release date for it though, which is surprising given that we haven't actually seen direct footage of it, right? Yeah, it still feels like the PS5 and the Series X, for that matter, are next-gen consoles, despite them being out for over half a year, right? They don't feel current-gen because it's so... people barely talk about them other than trying to get their hands on them. You know, that's the only conversation that really comes up in regards to them. So, yeah, the global chip shortage is affecting everything. So I guess it's not really the console's fault per se. I'm sure, like... To be fair, was what I'm trying to say here. Both consoles look like perfectly fine grabs, depending on your preference, right? And I don't think either is particularly bad, or either library is particularly bad compared to even last gen's library launches, right? But it's certainly an uninteresting generation, and that's compounded with the fact that it's really hard to get your hands on them, you know, and scalpers have just really found their place in society, it seems, and in the market. So, yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, moving on to Microsoft's conference. Microsoft had a pretty okay conference. Wasn't a lot of stuff that I personally was interested in, but it was snappy and it got to the point. And there was one thing I was really interested in, but we'll get to that. First stop, though, again, is Starfield. It launches November 11th, 2022. Again, they didn't actually show anything other than a CGI trailer, so I'm not too interested in this. I mean... because what is there to be interested in, right? Other than it'll probably be a Bethesda Works title in space. That's it. That's all you're really getting from this. I'm not personally a big fan of Bethesda's... I'm not a big fan of Todd's games, basically. I'll put it that way. So Bethesda's works, or rather I should say, of Bethesda's catalog, the only ones I really like are like Doom and Prey. Anything that id makes is usually pretty good. Anything the Division guys make is pretty good. But the actual main attraction to Bethesda, which is their Bethesda work titles by Todd, are something I have never really liked. So, but this is on a new engine. That's like the biggest announcement from it, is that it's on a newer engine, or rather a revised version of the old engine, finally. Using that Microsoft money for good. So maybe this game will not be a broken piece of shit at launch. You never know. Never know. That's all I really have to say on that, though. Next door, Stalker 2. I haven't played the first Stalker. Well, actually, no, I have played this first Stalker, but only like once, and it wasn't for long because it was it's a Eurojank title, right? So it takes some getting used to, but it always looked really cool. And the original Stalker, to my knowledge, is like a PC cult classic, right? And this game looks like a pretty solid successor to that. You see footage throughout it seems to have all of like the things that seems to appeal to Stalker fans. Again, I had to kind of consult some Stalker fans about this to make sure I wasn't talking out of my ass, because I've only ever played the first one. I have it right here physically, actually, so, or along with the original Fallout. But they said that this game looks like a really good successor, and it's made by the same people, and they clearly have a lot of budget and money going into it that will probably make the game a lot less janky. Maybe, I don't know. They probably still retain some Euro jank, because you go at like, what is it? This part with the shooting, it looks so weird and specifically Euro, for lack of a better term. Euro jank specifically. So I think that was something that was interesting, right? Leon shows up. Where was the shooting segment? Was it right here? No, this is the guy with the dancing. I don't know. Anyway, point being, if you're into Stalker, this is probably big news for you. It's an Xbox exclusive, much like I've knocked over one of my amiibo. It's an Xbox exclusive, much like the previous game we just talked about, Starfield. So Microsoft did show a lot more actual exclusive products this E3, so that was a start, right? I'm excited for it. I just hope it isn't super casualized. The unforgiving nature of it was one of its appealing aspects. I will agree to that. I always have this fear. It kind of happened with the Witcher games, sort of, not really, but kind of, where when you go from Witcher 1 to 2, it's clearly redesigned to be more console-friendly, for lack of a better term, right? And there's nothing worse to me than a game that has a clear priority on PC, taking advantage of PC controls and hardware, like a mouse and keyboard, right? Getting consoled up, because I love me a good controller. I was a console gamer for most of my life, don't get me wrong. But there are clear advantages to a mouse and keyboard for certain types of games, and seeing those games getting dumbed down for the sake of a controller is always really disappointing. And I do agree with you. I hope it's not super casualized, because one of the things that made Stalker work for when I did play it, the original one, was that it was very unforgiving. You had to be committed to everything. It would not, and it would punish you if you make a bad decision very, very harshly. And that fit its setting, right? So I'm for it. Stalker, head into the heart of the zone and kill a boulder-punching mutant called Chris Redfield. Beware, he does not harvest your sperm for it. Thanks, Leon. Yeah, anyway, again, this was actually a gameplay in it, so as far as I'm concerned, it was the best thing of the show so far, right? Right off the bat. Next thing that they announced at the Microsoft conference. This isn't really big news, but it's just an excuse for me to shill Yakuza Like a Dragon again. So Yakuza Like a Dragon is now available via Xbox Game Pass for console, PC, and cloud, meaning you can play it on your Xbox or your PC with the Xbox app, or your smartphone with the Xbox app. If you have Game Pass, please play this game. This game is amazing. I recommend playing the other games first because it does have some major spoilers in it, but please play this game. This is one of my favorite games of all time. This is the greatest. Don't watch this Game Pass trailer, though. I'm going to tell you right now, don't watch it if you haven't played it yet. It has a lot of spoilers, like really bad spoilers. I'm surprised they did that. Not much else to say here, but play Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's one of the greatest games ever made. Moving on. Okay. Got a lot to say about this. Halo Infinite's multiplayer. This looks fun. I am baffled that it actually looks fun. This was one of the games of the show for me, personally. Couple questionable decisions from 343 I want to get out of the way right now. One, red and blue is gone because they want you to show off your cosmetics, because that would encourage more people to engage in their battle pass system and then buy, potentially spend money on... or rather, I should say, spend money on the battle pass to get those cosmetics, right? That's the whole reason why the red and blue system is gone. It's shitty. I don't like it. I want to make that perfectly clear. I don't necessarily... From what I've been told, I don't play a lot of games with battle passes, but from what I've been told, their battle pass system being promised here is the best one so far because it doesn't actually expire. Which I didn't even know they did, so that was like news to me, right? But that aside, this game looks amazing. Look at this sequence when he grapples the weapon and then grapples this aircraft and hijacks it, dude. It looked so much fun. Big team battle is back with actually good-looking big team battle maps. The only thing that's also kind of questionable is the inclusion of sprint, but it seems to be nerfed to hell and back. So it's just like there basically for a cosmetic at this point, which I'll take. It's just there, and you can shoot right out of it too. So I guess it's there to like slightly increase your speed if you're doing nothing but walking forward, right? Which I'll accept, fine. If it has to be here, which apparently does, as long as it's not like an easy getaway tool and it still has the Halo 5 property of not allowing your shields to recharge, hell yeah. The vehicles all look really fun to use. No more pistol magnum. Oddball is in the game at launch. Can we talk about this? Oddball was not in the game for so long in Halo 5. And now it's here right at the start. Oh, look at that. He grabs the fusion coil and just throws it right at this moving vehicle. This armor actually looks cool. All of the armor actually looks cool. There hasn't been good looking Halo armor in a Halo game for over a decade. It looks sick, man. It's free to play too for those who don't care about the epic campaign as it was described right here. Yeah, exactly. It definitely looks like less like COD in space and more just an actual evolution of what Halo 3 was going for, which is an evolution on the equipment system, because all of like those equipments that you saw there were pick-upables, right? Again, all of the monetization seems to be at least tolerable. There's no loot boxes. It's just that stupid battle pass, and then how you unlock the armor in the battle pass is not with money, but by doing certain objectives. Again, I'm not sure if that's common for battle passes, but point being, as far as the gameplay itself looks, it looks really fun, man. The TTK looks right, the movement looks right, all the maps look really good, which the original maps in Halo 5 are also pretty good for what that game was, but they also, like, the aesthetic doesn't make me want to die like Halo 4 and 5 do. All the weapons look really fun. Look at this. One gets this bank shot after switching the mode. Yeah. The BR is back. The gravity hammer looks fun. This piece of equipment that he just used, where he reflected the plasma pistol shot back at him, got a quick headshot. This deployable cover is breakable. It's like a fusion between the deployable cover and the bubble shield, and it's great. Man, you have customizable AIs to talk to you, which is a cute idea. All of like, I think they talked in one of the videos that they posted afterwards that all of the vehicles that drop down, all the weapon respawns are contextualized by like ordnance drops and like being brought in by pelicans, which means that it's not like ordnance drops in Halo 4 where they were kill streaks. It's the same as in classic Halo where they're on a timer till they respawn, but now they're just presented in like a more like immersive way, and I think that's really cool. This just looks really fun, man. I'm so happy that Halo looks fun again, because it hasn't been since Reach, and even then Reach was kind of miserable in a lot of ways. So hell yeah, I can't wait to play this with my friends. I can't wait to I missed Halo, man, and Halo Infinite looks like it's finally going to be a Halo that I enjoy again. Even the campaign, from what we've seen of it, I've mentioned it in a video before, but I actually do like the gameplay of the campaign from what we've seen, and the multiplayer looks just as fun, and I'm pretty happy about that. Got the C weapon. What just happened there, by the way, is that was when the weapon spawned. He threw a grenade, and the grenade blasted it towards him. That's something you can do in the original Halo that disappeared until Halo 5, and it's still back here, which is awesome. Yeah, man, this looks sick. I'm really happy about this. I can't gush enough. I should probably move on. The only thing else I have really left to say about this is when I was browsing other things related to Halo Infinite, I found this tweet. Yeah, that's me. It's me on the right. Actually, wait, no. This is me. That's me on the left. All right, moving on. I don't even know why I put this in because I don't really care about this, but Outer Worlds 2 got announced at the conference as well. For those who like the Outer Worlds, yippee. But I hear that's not actually a lot of people. To my understanding, people played the Outer Worlds thinking it would be like their New Vegas successor. And apparently it starts off strong and just deteriorates really quickly afterwards, the original Outer Worlds. So despite being made by the New Vegas people, it didn't quite live up to New Vegas, which is a damn shame to hear, honestly. But maybe this one will be better. Who knows? I think it was just another CGI trailer, though, so there wasn't actually... Yeah, it was another CGI trailer. So there's not really much to go off of in terms of improvements. The only thing Obsidian has finished is the title. That's what it says right here. Well, there you go. Okay. Look forward to that when you're dead. And that's basically everything I had that they showed that I had any remote interest in at Microsoft's show. Again, pretty good show, but there wasn't a lot of Japanese stuff, so I wasn't interested in that because I'm a weeb. The only thing they showed that really interested me was Halo, and yeah. That's basically it. They mentioned some other things, like a release date for Psychonauts 2, and some other things, but again, I wasn't too interested in any of that. The only reason I included this Outer Worlds thing was because I remember hearing that people didn't really like the first one, so it's kind of felt bad, you know. Yeah, I thought it was going to be in New Vegas, but nobody talked about it much after launch, unlike New Vegas. Yeah, that's the impression I got from it. It's a shame. Oh well. Anyway, that pretty much ends Microsoft's show. Nothing too exciting. Oh, they also announced this one game by the Division devs, which was, see, like, they've treated it as like this big here's one last thing moment, right? But the problem was it was a CGI trailer, so I'm not even going to dignify it with a placement in this news section because it's a CGI trailer. We got nothing from it. I mean, the developer is good. They make Prey and they make Division, and those are both great games. But a CGI trailer, really? I sleep. Square Enix had a show. Technically, it was a Marvel show. They showed 20 minutes of Eidos Montreal's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It looks like hot garbage. I'm gonna be real with you. They played nothing but copyright music the entire trailer, and the gameplay looks the same as the Avengers game, which is shit. The control of your party members looked awful and wonky. The frame rate looked bad. Of course, it's an early game, but yeah, it just didn't look fun. It looked really jank, and I'm still just depressed that the people who revived Deus Ex and did it damn well are now stuck making this garbage Marvel stuff. Not that I dislike Marvel, it's just that they're clearly not good at making these types of games, if I'm being perfectly honest. They're really bad. So I really wish they would just stop. Like, it just boring. You know, it just looks boring. Looks wonky and unpolished, and maybe it'll look better by the time it launches, but when does it launch again? When does it say? October 26th? That's not even that far away. It's like 6 months, not even. Less than 6 months. I just... What are you doing? This looks awful. It's not gonna get fixed in 4 months. Like, nah, yeah. This is not great. And they showed 20 minutes of it. This was half of their conference, by the way, was this. Crazy, right? You know what's crazier? That Babylon's Fall doesn't look good. Man, I was so disappointed by this. The beta begins in late July. And it's a Platinum game, which had me excited. But they announced during this conference that it's going to be a live service game. Now, let me make something perfectly clear. I am 100% convinced that it was not initially supposed to be a live service game. I do believe that it was originally going to have multiplayer, but the fact it was going to be live service was clearly tacked on by Square Enix. That's not a confirmation. Obviously, we don't know if that was the case, but it clearly was because Avengers is also a live service action game, so they clearly want to make this concept work, Square Enix. And since it clearly didn't work with Avengers, they're like, all right, Platinum, can you guys make it work? And they're like, we had a multiplayer component, so maybe the art style that they're going for like the pastel painting or whatever, I don't know if I'm using the right term, I'm art illiterate, but it doesn't really seem to look too good, honestly, like visually at the very least. I don't really know if what they're going for is working. It seems to have something wrong with it, you know? So that was disappointing right off the bat. And then you get into the gameplay and it just looks like a clusterfuck. It looked so much better when they showed it early on, but then you see yourself traversing these dungeons with your friends, and it's like, I mean, it might be fun, but it just looks very clunky and unpolished, and that's super disappointing because, again, I must reiterate, I was so excited for this game. I really like Platinum Games, I really love their work, but this game does not look fun. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It does. We don't even have a release date for it. It's only entering into, I think, what is it, beta in July? They added a PS5 version, who cares? Is that the 100% orange juice PGM? It sure is. Good ear. But yeah, I was really disappointed with this. I mean, it still might be fun. Who knows? Maybe this is like the what was that Kamiya game that got canceled? Scalebound. Maybe this is the Scalebound we never got. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if drip feeding content is the way to go. Maybe it was the only way this game could, like, get out in a timely fashion. But, man, it's so disappointing. It doesn't look visually good. It doesn't look like it plays too good either. So, I mean, it still might be fun. Who knows? I don't know, but it doesn't look like it's going to be Platinum's greatest work. Let's just put it that way. And that's a massive disappointment to me. Platinum in general had a pretty disappointing showing to E3 with their absence of Bayonetta 3 as well, to skip a bit ahead. So, yeah. I mean, I signed up for the PC beta, so I'll let you guys, I'll stream it if they let me when that comes out, and if they actually let me in. It's the closed beta, so we'll have to wait and see. What else did Square Enix do? Right. They invoked chaos. Fellas, do you want to kill chaos? Well, then quite frankly, I have the greatest game for you. It's right here, right in front of your eyes. Chaos. The Chaos Slayer himself, Jack, voiced by Mosian Melvin in English and Genjuro Suda in Japanese, with his H&M t-shirt and goofball-ass pants, is here to save the day, along with his partner, Twink, and Bull. This game looks so ridiculously stupid. This trailer was like one of the most unattractive things I've ever borne witness to at an E3 press conference. So this is a game made by Square Enix, Team Ninja, excuse me, and Nomura. You can see right there, the story is Nojima, the director is Daisuke, the concept and creative producer and character design is Nomura. Kind of an all-star cast here. All of these creators have made both garbage and pretty cool work, so you never know when they team up like this if anything's going to be good, if it's going to turn out good, you know? That being said, this game looks like it might be a little fun, if not a bit Kusuge. I think your best case scenario with this game is it's a Kusuge, because the story seems laughably childish. The entire trailer, this main character, Jack, is just spouting nothing but endless repetitive dialogue about how he needs to find chaos, his mission is to kill chaos, and how he wants to really kill chaos. He's a clear edgelord. It reminds me, in terms of Nomura writing angry characters, which is what he said he wanted to do with this concept when he came up with it, it's the same as Lingering Will, where he wants to kill someone, and so he just repeats, and his entire character is, I want to kill someone. That's his concept of what an angry character is, right? But whereas Lingering Will had a lot of like setup and backstory that made him interesting, and there was a clear, he was like a literal animated piece of armor, so like he was an emotion given life, which is what made him work. This is just a regular dude in a shirt, so it's a bit more ridiculous. It does look like stupid fun. It seems to have Neo gameplay, which I'm not the biggest fan of Neo's gameplay personally. I always thought it was okay, but it always felt like a bit kind of like to me, like a kind of like this weird halfway point between a full-on action game and an RPG. It doesn't really cross the barrier the same way that Kingdom Hearts does. This seems to have some interesting gameplay elements to it, though. The controls seem really bad. From what I've seen of it, I don't have a PS5, so I couldn't actually try it. Excuse me. Look, he said he wants to kill chaos there again. By the way, Lingering Will. Yeah. It's I mean, like, I'm all for an edgelord game with a stupid story. The gameplay and the level design, though, just to kind of look satisfactory, not too interesting. It might be fun. Lingers on this earth due to his will. Exactly. Chaos killer wants to kill chaos. The demo's on PS5 only. What was funniest about this, though, to me, was not only was this trailer, the game itself might be pretty fun, and some people have had fun with the demo, even if it needs clearly some work, and it doesn't really look... The art style, I'm just going to get that out of the way, it looks fucking disgusting. This game looks hideous. This is like one of the ugliest games Square Enix has ever made. They need to fix that, I think, if they want to have any appeal. But aside from that, not only was the trailer hilariously bad, because it just focused entirely on this edgelord saying how he wanted to kill Chaos the whole time, to the point where it was comedic. The demo that they're talking about here came out and didn't work. So it was kind of like this beautiful, disastrous end to the Square Enix conference, you know? It was just embarrassing. It didn't work for 2 days. They finally got it to work recently, but it was just hilarious that not only was this trailer really bad, also the demo didn't work. Also the entire conference was crap. It was just this beautiful collision of unfortunate events, and that was the Square Enix conference, really. I don't really have much else to say. This game might be fun, but I can't play the trial myself because I don't have a PS5 and I have no interest in getting one. The character designs look terrible. The art design looks terrible. The combat looks kind of fun. One thing I will say is that the loot drops from what I have seen of the gameplay seem to be the same as Neo, like the drop rates. And I hate the drop system the loot system, I should say, in Neo. I think it's overbearing and garbage because it drops so much repeat gear. That's like, oh, there's a slight number difference on this level 1 boots versus this level 1.5 boots. Like that was the worst part about Neo to me whenever I played it back in the day, and it seems to have unfortunately creeped its head in this game. So I hate that. I wish you could just. It just doesn't. It makes all the loot feel valueless. Excuse me. So yeah, not a big fan of that. I would never buy a console just to play a demo of this game because one, it's coming out on all these platforms anyway, which is cool, but it just doesn't look good to me personally. It might be fun. Visually, it doesn't look good though. So we'll have to wait and see. If the trial ever comes to PC, I'll definitely give it a try. So you never know. Looks like Kusuge. I think best case scenario of this game is Kusuge, which means that it's fun but garbage. If that makes sense. So I'm for it. The memes were great though. I love the chaos memes. That alone made this trailer worth it to me. Here's a random piece of news from the Limited Run Games conference, quote-unquote thing. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is coming to everything but Xbox. Why? I do not know. But if you don't know what this game is, just look up the Angry Video Game Nerd Plumbers Don't Wear Ties video. That's all I really have to say on this. If you haven't watched that video, you're doing yourself a disservice. That video is amazing. This game is hot trash. And I cannot believe they're doing a physical run of it. That's kind of amazing. I don't know how they got the rights to this, but bravo for the bravest publishers on this planet being Limited Run Games, I guess, because that's amazing. I love that. Moving on. Capcom, not to be outdone, also had a conference. Quote unquote. In this conference, they had esports, and they announced that Resident Evil Village DLC is in development. That's it. That's all they had to say. And that's all I have to say. So we're going to move on. I liked Village. I hope the DLC is good. That's it. Guilty Gear Strive shipments and digital sales top 300,000. This is another non-E3 announcement, but I just want to throw in there because Pachi. Gotta be honest, I didn't end up liking this game as much as I was hoping I would like it. For one thing, on the PC, there's a couple of issues, mainly that the lobbies don't work on any platform, but they're particularly bad on PC for some reason. And they had to put out an update just so that private matches and private rooms actually worked. So that was pretty embarrassing, for lack of a better term. But like most of my issues aren't actually with like stuff like that. The lobbies and online experience in general, the netcode is great, but the online lobbies are some of the worst I've ever used in any game ever. So that is a pretty big discouraging point from actually trying to engage with that netcode. And also the game itself isn't really as fun as I was hoping it'd be. Certainly not as fun as the previous games to me. So I'm probably going to wait for like a new version to go back to it. But this is great numbers for a Guilty Gear game, so I wanted to give them a big congratulation point. If people do end up, a lot of people do clearly enjoy this game a lot, and that's great. So I'm just glad Guilty Gear is getting some success. So bravo to Guilty Gear. Pachi, 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 pachi. Hell yeah, dude. All right. Now, the last conference of note that happened at this year's E3 was Nintendo's. And I would say it was overall the best one. I'm not sure if that's a controversial opinion to have. I liked Microsoft's too, but Nintendo's definitely showed the most stuff that was interesting to me personally. Even if I don't actually have a lot to say about all of it. So, speaking of, Kazuya Mishima for Tekken was announced. This trailer was amazing. I loved this CGI trailer. This is honestly my favorite part of the Smash character announcements, is these trailers. Him throwing off all of these characters into the volcano like he did his dad is incredible. His moveset looks pretty fun. It looks it looks about as faithful as Terry and Street Fighter characters were, right? So yeah, pretty cool. Again, I'm not personally the biggest fan of Tekken, and let alone their character design, but Kazuya is a pretty fun inclusion, and it once again makes Smash Brothers Ultimate a much significantly better PlayStation All-Stars game than PlayStation All-Stars ever was, you know? Yeah, Strive Sigma plus R edition. Here's hoping, right? I hope the gameplay itself is actually more fun to me, because that was my main issue, honestly, even more so than the lobbies. But anyway, Kazuya's in. It's the trailer alone made this character inclusion worth it to me, and I personally don't really care what new characters get announced for Smash at this point, because the roster is already ridiculous. So everything else they add is just like, hell yeah, just add whatever you want at this point, And this is a pretty fun inclusion, it looks like. So yeah, Smash is getting Kazuya. Hell yeah, it looks faithful as always. Smash Brothers always does its DLC characters and third-party characters great justice, and Smash Brothers Ultimate continues to be the best PlayStation All-Stars fighter to ever exist. Moving on. Oh, hell yeah. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, baby. I love Super Monkey Ball. And Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, it seems to be, how is this described as again? It's, let's see here. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania is a high-definition remaster of the original 3 Monkey Ball games. So Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Deluxe, which are all fantastic games. Certainly much better games than the last Monkey Ball game that got remastered, which was the Wii one. There is a jump button included, unfortunately, but fortunately you can turn it off, which is great. Because otherwise that would have kind of ruined the appeal to me, because I hate Monkey Ball with a jump. But since you can turn it off, hell yeah, we're in. This looks like it's going to be a great remaster of those original games. Because these 3 original games, by the way, are just masterpieces, in my opinion. These are some of the greatest games ever made. It's made by the Yakuza devs, if you guys don't know, actually. This was their first IP as a team. And then they went from this to Yakuza. It was a bit of a jump. But yeah, this game is going to be awesome because those Monkey Ball games they're remaking are awesome. There's a bit of a theme I've noticed at this year's E3, which was new bad, old good. Unironically, I noticed this theme throughout the entire conference. It was new bad, old good. And this is made especially evident, not just with this re-release of all the good Monkey Ball games, but with the next thing that was announced at Nintendo's Direct at E3, which was Mario Party Superstars. This looks amazing, and the main reason for that is simple. They gave up and just said, screw it, we're going to just give you the old boards. This is a Super Mario Brothers. This is a Mario Party 2 board. All the mini games are from throughout the entire series, I believe. The mini games are just remasters of that top 100 collection on the 3DS that existed for some reason, and they incorporated that and also remade a bunch of boards from some of the best boards from the N64 games. So Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, all of which have amazing boards. The only two we've seen so far in game are Peach's Birthday Cake from 1 and Spaceland for 2, both of which are some of the best boards from those games. So they clearly have some taste here. Online play is supported from the start this time, not going to be a 2-year late update like it was with Super. The only thing they seem to have added to these boards are things like lucky spaces, but otherwise they seem really faithful. They have items, they have proper dice blocks, they have and mushrooms that increase, stuff like that. You can throw out these taunts, which is amazing. Hell yeah, dude. A good Mario Party game, finally. And why is it good? Pretty simple. They gave up and started using the old boards. And I don't know if that makes me part of the problem, a part of the old good, new bad mentality to support this, but they haven't made a good new board in well over like half a decade, so screw it. Just steal from the old boards. I don't care. Yeah. Screw it. You remade them. They look nice. They have some new adjustments to them. Well, not to the boards themselves, but like the things on them. It has like some newer stuff, right? So you get to still feel a little bit fresh, but overall it's the same general design concept of those original boards, and hell yeah, good. Thank God, you know? Because the weakest thing about all the new Mario parties was always their boards. They were always just really boring, you know? In Super Mario Party especially, even though it was a return to form in a lot of ways, the boards were terrible, and there was only 4 of them too. Whereas this is just looks so much better, man. It looks so... I'm so excited for this. I love Mario Party. I love playing this with my friends, and this is going to be a blast. I want to eat Peach's birthday cake. Don't we all, brother? Don't we all? Look at that sugar wafer. It looks delicious. Anyway, this looks great. I can't wait for this. Another big announcement. Metroid Dread. So I didn't know about this until after this got announced, but basically Metroid Dread was actually the name of a canceled Metroid game for many, many years. There hasn't been a new mainline Metroid game, by the way, since Fusion. So like 19 years. That's why that Metroid 5 title is so significant, by the way, because the Metroid Prime games, those are spin-offs, right? And they all took place before like Super, I think. And the last mainline Metroid game, actually it wasn't Fusion, it was Other M. Ugh. Which was made by Team Ninja, if you want to consider that a mainline Metroid. A lot of people don't, and I don't blame them. I don't think the series does either, because Metroid Fusion is often referred to as Metroid 4. Super Metroid is often referred to Metroid 3, which is why it says Metroid 3 when you start it up. And this one says Metroid 5. It's made by the people who made Samus Returns. Obviously, the art style and the gameplay is very similar to that game. But Samus Returns was pretty fun, and this looks pretty damn fun too. The environments look a lot better than Samus Returns, I will say, a lot more creative. Though, granted, Samus Returns was a remake of a Game Boy Classic game, so had that going against it in terms of its design, I guess. But this looks really fun. They showed a bunch of gameplay on the treehouse, as you can see here, and the Stalker element from Fusion is back as well. And it looks like it's going to be great. I like Metroid a lot. Speaking of wanting to eat someone's cake, no. I love Metroid, and I didn't like Samus Returns as much as, say, Super. And I don't think this game is probably going to top Super, which is a bit disappointing because it's always a shame that no new Metroid game has ever really topped Super in a lot of ways, except maybe one of the Prime games. But at the very least, this game still looks really fun. And it looks like a good successor to Samus Returns, which was also pretty fun. So, hell yeah to that. Love me some Metroid. Pretty damn good announcement. And one of the many reasons why Nintendo had probably the best conference this year. Couple other minor notes I wanted to talk about. Well, this isn't really minor. This is SMT5, baby. It launches November 11th in Japan, November 12th worldwide. So only a day difference this time. This game looks incredible. It looks like the highest budget SMT game we've ever gotten. This effeminate protagonist has a really cool alternative design. When he gets into like this hellscape world with the angels and the demons, all of the angels and demons look really cool, dude. The gameplay looks really fun, like a nice step up in evolution, and I love the presentation of it. You know, it's still very SMT. It's not Persona, which is what I always feared that they were going to turn SMT into. But nope, it's got its own things without being too Persona-esque, which is great. everything looks. I heard someone point out, but like the comparison, these are both the new Pokemon and this game are on the same console, so it's just kind of amazing to me the difference in quality of the models and the animation. You know, they're clearly both not the highest budget games in the world either, but like Atlas does so much more with this, and it looks fantastic. SMT fans are eating good come November. I think this is going to be a really fun game, and I still need to go back and play some of the other ones. So the only ones I've really played are 1 and a little bit of 3. So I need to go back and finish 3 and then play 4 and then play this, because not that you really need to, I think, with SMT games, but it's still, I just want to give the series respect it deserves, you know, because this game looks really, really good, you know. Big shout out to Atlas. And once again, big shout out for Nintendo for showing this off to such a degree, because Lord knows Nintendo showed off SMT5 and gave it a lot more screen time compared to what Sony did with Persona 5, which is kind of baffling to me, because that was like one of the main exclusives for that for the Sony's console at the time. But they have different priorities, I guess. I'm glad Nintendo is still very Japanese, basically, is all I'm trying to say. And speaking of very Japanese, Fatal Frame, baby. This is a Wii U game. This is one of the last Wii U games that is still stuck on the Wii U. and it's been brought over. So almost every single Wii U game has been salvaged from the Wii U. I don't have a lot to say about this other than it's a pretty good Fatal Frame game for those who haven't played it. But I'm curious if the censored costumes are going to be back in. They're pretty lewd. It's not even just coming to Switch, by the way. It's coming to everything. But I'm curious if they're going to bring back those original costumes that were originally removed from the Western version when it came to Wii U. And on the Wii U version, they instead replaced them with like a Samus outfit, which was pretty lewd too. But I'm just curious if that content's gone forever, basically. Anyway, this game is pretty fun. It's a pretty good Fatal Frame game for those who haven't played it. Pretty spooky. And I recommend it if you like Fatal Frame and horror games. I played it back when I had a Wii U. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. But I don't really have that much else to say about it, honestly, because it's an old game. Just new costumes and photo mode. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Photo mode for a Fatal Frame game could never be more appropriate, actually. So, all right. Last thing from Nintendo was, of course, Breath of the Wild 2. Now, again, they didn't show much. They showed gameplay, and what they did show looked really interesting. But they didn't show much because the game has a generic launch window of just 2022. We don't know when in 2022. We just know it's launching in 2022 next year. One thing that was funny about the trailer is Zelda got immediately booted out of being playable right then and there in that trailer, like some people were suspecting. I never really wanted her to be playable because I don't really know how you'd make her playable and have it be like as interesting as playing as Link, because like she's not as much of an explorer as Link is. But I was expecting her to be a companion in the game, but that's clearly not going to be the case either. Regardless, though, these sky sections, this newer sections, are really cool. Link's design while in them looks really cool. This like outfit he's wearing, it looks awesome. Actually, I'm kind of happy about the idea that they might be doing the Skyward Sword Island idea a lot better this time around. That being said, though, I'm kind of fearful because of this. This is just an exact location from Breath of the Wild 2's map. I mean, Breath of the Wild 1, excuse me. This is an exact location from that map. And I fear that there's going to be too much repeat content in this game from the first game. I hope that doesn't end up being the case. I don't want it to just be like a redux of the first game. I want it to feel like there's a lot of new locations, you know? I feel like I get they want to make it a sequel. So, like, of course, there's going to be a lot of reuse. But to me, I kind of almost wish it was entirely the sky area, because I don't really care about visiting. If I want to explore that Hyrule in the first game, I'll explore the first game, you know? I'll play the first game. I don't want to just re-explore it in the second game, you know? Though maybe they'll make it worth it. There's clearly a concept here where a bunch of areas from the first game are being launched to the sky, which is then going to change how the Hyrule map works in the second game, right? And the holes that are left behind. So maybe that will make exploring Hyrule Field feel really fresh in Breath of the Wild 2. Here's hoping, but it does worry me a little bit. I'm going to play the game regardless, though. It looks sick. I love Breath of the Wild. And that was the last thing Nintendo showed off at this E3. Overall, a pretty great showing from Nintendo. Probably the best one at this E3, certainly. You know, a lot of great things announced. I'm pretty excited. My games of the show from all the big conferences were definitely Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Dread, Mario Superstars, and Halo Infinite. Those were the games I was all most interested in. So, hell yeah. Not a lot of new original titles that were shown, of course, but that's par for the course for this industry nowadays, so shouldn't be too surprising. Couple little minor notes before we go into Famitsu Sales. Judgment shipments and digital sales top 1 million. This includes the original release and the re-release that was on the newer consoles, and Stadia for some reason. Again, just a bit of a congratulations. I really want to play this game, but I don't have a PS4 right now, and I don't have a PS5 or Xbox Series, and I don't really have any interest in one. So I'm just going to wait till it comes to PC properly and not this stupid Stadia release. Thank you. But yeah, congrats to Judgment and congrats to the Yakuza studio. They do great work. I love their games so much. But speaking of games being released on stupid platforms, last piece of news before we get into Famitsu Sales. Epic Games Store database lists Final Fantasy VII Remake and Alan Wake, remastered. This is not surprising given that Kingdom Hearts 3 ended up in the Kingdom Hearts collection, ended up being Epic exclusive, but it's still disappointing to hear that both of these games, specifically FF7 Remake, are going to end up, when they do come to the Epic Games Store, or rather when they do come to PC, I should say, they're going to be exclusive to the Epic Games Store. So, yeah, this won't be coming, Integrate, I mean, won't be coming to PC for 6 months after the Integrate release. So, that was back in June, so not until 2022, basically, you're going to get the PC announcement and release. And that's going to, unfortunately, only be on the Epic Games Store. So if you're interested in that and the Alan Wake remaster, you're probably going to have to finally give in to the Epic Games Store meme. Otherwise, just keep hoping it comes to Steam eventually, They probably will, but looks like Epic's trying to still snatch up as much as they can, man. It's not going to stop anytime soon, it seems, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. Oh well, it could be worse. I've used the Epic Games Store. It's not the worst store I've ever used, but it's certainly far from the best, and it just feels annoying to have to use it. And finally, this will lead into our final segment, as always, which is Famitsu Sales. We had a couple of interesting new releases during the beginning of E3's week, So let's get into them. 1, the Game Builder Garage, which launched like 2 days before they stopped tracking, topped the charts at 71,000. Pretty good, pretty nice for a new release. And this game, I want to actually play on stream because it looks really interesting. It's basically a game building tutorial game, so to speak, right? Like where you can make your own games. It's kind of like their own version of Dreams, I suppose. Though a little more like both restricted and less limited in two completely different ways, I guess, right? It's kind of like a coding tutorial game, right? It looks fun. And I'm very happy to see it doing well in Japan. Next was actually 2 PS5 titles that actually topped the charts in Japan, which is crazy. This is one of the first times this has happened in the existence of the PS5 thus far. So first, number 2 was FF7 Remake Integrate, which sold 20,000 units for a new big... Well, let me put it like this. For a re-release of a game, this is actually pretty okay in Japan. Japan typically does not buy re-releases. They typically will just play the original versions of games. So for a re-release, this is actually pretty decent. And yeah, so congrats to them for that. Congrats to the PS5 for finally breaking top like 10 in these charts. It finally did it with a software release. What's a bit more disappointing, but more expected, is Ratchet and Clank not doing too well over there. Still did number 3 for that week, so that's pretty good at 14,000. That's a pretty decent showing for Japan, but again, it's not exactly stellar numbers, right? It's certainly no Nintendo product numbers like you can see at the top here, right? So it still feels like a pretty niche brand. Ratchet and Clank as a Western developed game was never going to be that popular over in Japan anyway, I don't think, but it's still disappointing to see. But expected. The most notable thing though is that these are both PS5 exclusive either version/titles. So, and they actually topped the charts this week. So again, congratulations, they finally did it. Vtopia, a bunch of regulars showing up here. Guilty Gear sells around 11,000. That's not too surprising. It also came out, granted, a lot of these games came out on the 11th, which is like 2 days before they stopped tracking. So this might be a bit unfair, some of these numbers. So keep that in mind. But yeah, as far as new games go, Ninja Gaiden did pretty well on the PS4. There's no PS5 version. You know, does for a re-release, this is more what you'd expect to see. So that's pretty good. Guilty Gear Strive again did okay. The PS5 version is nowhere to be found, I don't think, on this chart, which again isn't too surprising because the PS4 version is just a free upgrade to the PS5 version anyway. So, and the rest, nothing else new here except the Switch version of Ninja Gaiden did half the numbers of the PS4 version, which is not too surprising either. You know, these types of games, people want them to run well, and they want the audience is more going to be on PlayStation. So yeah. Anything else that was new here? Oh, here's the PS5 version of Guilty Gear Strive. Did 3,000 units. That's obviously really bad compared to its PS4 version, but you know, don't worry about it. Now, if we move on to hardware, Switch in total, combined with its Switch Lite unit, did around 77,000 this week. Again, pretty good numbers. It's had pretty good numbers for a long time now. If we go to PlayStation 5, combined with its digital version, it did around 18,000. That's not terrible. That's certainly... It's better than it was doing in the past, definitely. In fact, this week was pretty good for software sales overall, I think, because even the Xbox Series X, much to my surprise, did over 2,000 sales? For Xbox, that's like very surprising, basically. I cannot believe this actually happened. It beat out the PS4 for that week. Again, that's just crazy. Obviously, it's not doing nearly as well as the PS5 is still, let alone the Switch, this behemoth. But wowzers. That's impressive. For Xbox, that's impressive in Japan, basically, right? So again, a little congratulations to them. And that's going to have to do it for this week. My throat, it feels like it's going to die, so I'm just going to cut it off right then and there. Thank you all for joining me as always and for chilling and talking to me about game news. It's always fun. I hope you guys like this new time slot at Sunday at around like evening. I felt like this would be a better time to do it because this is when a lot more news starts to calm down, you know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments and all that jazz. And thank you guys for watching as always. I'll see you next week. Stay safe. God bless. Jana. Bye bye. News out.